ComX Recent Reads is live. This is episode 3. Thanks to illness, I missed last fortnight, so we've sort of skipped over. But I've affectionately started calling it CXRR. I don't know if that's going to catch on, but there we go. Today, we have... Oh, we got comments already. Why can't I? Oh, because I'm on a different screen. Today we've got Stu, Tom, Lauren, and of course Ed on the buttons and myself, Siz. And we'll just quickly go around and ask everyone what they have read. I will start. I have read this one, A Visit from Midnight Mummy. We'll go around the circle there. So start with you, Stu.
I've got a good Aussie one, Devil's Toilet by Spedsy.
I've heard that's
So
made
I'm
by
reluctant to say it's good.
Toilet Legend.
I've got Invincible by Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley, the third trade paperback, which is called Perfect Strangers, I believe. I don't have it in front of me right now because it's in a moving box. There it is. That's the one.
I'm going to be doing Foes by Peter Wilson.
Woo. And I've got Lady Killer, Joelle Jones and Jamie S. Rich. It's Dark Horse title.
That was cool. Back to you, Siz.
Back to me.
And now the weather.
I'm really stressed that I'm going to pronounce this name wrong. My book is, like I already said, A Visit from Midnight Mummy, and it's by Tatiana Davidson. I've just been told that was right in the background there. This one was an interesting read. I think I read it too quickly for one. I think it's one of those books that you need to kind of soak in each thing that you read. Because I think I kind of understood it, but I kind of didn't at the same time. But I didn't understand it in that way where you kind of in the back of your brain know if you had read this right, you'd understand it, Shane. So, but anyway, it starts with a kid. He goes to school. He gets bullied. Charlie, his name is. And I'll show some of the interior art. And, oh, yeah, Tatiana also did all the art and the story. Oh, sorry. So it's pretty cool art. And there's Charlie in the corner there. And he's well, this is the part I got really confused about. I got confused because there's a woman in the book and there's also a girl in the book, and I keep getting them confused because they've got the same hairstyles, and it's hard to tell how high they are. And but they're called, one's called their sister at the. But yeah, like I said, I need to read this maybe 2 or 3 times to get it properly. I did enjoy what I did understand. I really enjoyed the art. But yeah, I need to go back and read it again and probably again and again because there are little things I think that happen that I'm missing because I went through it too quickly, and because the rest of it makes sense, and there's just towards the end is where it gets confusing for me. The Midnight Mummy is some sort of creature that is birthed from a rabbit dog, and that's where I started getting confused. So yeah. That's the one I read recently.
Excellent.
That's whack.
Oh, do I decide who's next? Sorry. Okay. We'll go in the order that they're on the screen. I thought Ed was just going to throw someone up. We'll go with Lauren.
Oi, how you going? So as mentioned, I actually got the chance to finally read Lady Killer, which has been sitting in my bookcase for quite some time. After I finally cleaned up the studio. So this is a Dark Horse title. It's co-written by Joelle Jones and Jamie S. Rich. If nobody knows, Joelle Jones, huge fan of her work. She is doing the Ninja Turtle series that's going to be released at the end of July. She's doing the story about Raph, so which is quite fitting. This is very smartly drawn. I'm coming at it from an artist's perspective. and seeing how the storytelling and the stuff that I'm really looking out for in terms of improvement for my work. So take that as a grain of salt. She's done incredible. I find that a lot of the work is simple, but not simple. Like, it's not overdrawn. The colorist hasn't gone, I think, I don't whether she colored it or not. I actually look at that. No, colors by Laura, which is awesome. So the colors are quite simple. They're not rendered, like over rendered or anything. They're actually quite plain. If you look at that, they're more like flats than anything else.
Okay.
The stuff it's absolutely stunning in terms of the movement of the artwork. But I think the smartest thing that she's done is what this story is quite. It's obviously I'll go back to the story. Sorry, I'll start again because my brain goes too fast for my mouth. So the story is Lady Killer. Obviously, that lady, she's an assassin, and the story is about her, like, setting up the story for future episodes, issues. And this she's incredible in terms of the movement and the pacing for the fight scenes. And the smartest thing that she's done is all the blood is black. It's just ink splatter. It's smartly done on the pages, like even in the corners. She hasn't cleaned up the corners of any of her panels. There's like little splatters that are on the side and stuff like that. And when it gets to like a peak moment, the blood turns red. And I think that's probably the smartest choice in terms of storytelling. And I think that's obviously a collaboration between the two people putting towards this story. It's very smartly done. And I like the fact that it's not relying too much on the artsy-fartsy bells and whistles that a lot of people do and have been doing recently. And it's really sticking to the story and the simplicity of drawing. And don't get me wrong, Joelle, amazing at drawing, like incredible. The caricature, the emotions, the fluidity of her work is sensational. So I think it kind of ticks a lot of boxes in terms of that. The story is easy to follow, it really sets up for a lot of extra issues, stuff like that. So definitely worth a read. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm going to throw to Stu.
Wow.
Awesome.
I was lucky enough to, I think it was on Drink and Draw with Spedsy, and he started talking about the Devil's Toilet. Now, I'm generally into superheroes and Marvel, and that's sort of my jam, but it intrigued me at Devil's Toilet, so I thought I'd buy it. Available at ComX. And I had a read through it and absolutely loved it. I even messaged him and said, I've got to get issue number 2. I've got to see what happens next in this crazy story about a toilet in hell that gets basically its own sentient being and then escaping from hell. This is probably the best. This is actually one of the captions in there. It's just like that. Our story becomes John Carpenter's escape from New York, except New York is hell and Kurt Russell is a toilet. And I think that sums up the whole thing pretty much. But I love the artwork in it. It's really fun and simple, and it flows well. There's nothing about it that is not enjoyable. It's a good amount of action. It's just a fun story. So if you're after something that's really fun to read, I know Spedsy's going to get a really big head out of this, but I recommend this. It is. I've got to actually put my order in for number 2, and I think number 3, is that correct? There's a third one.
Yeah, there's a third.
Yeah, I'll have to go for both of them. There you go. Look at that. See, Ed's even got it on hand. It's that good. So yeah, I recommend this to anybody. It's a lot of fun. Kurt Russell's a toilet. Jeez, come on.
That'd hook me.
Over to you, Tom.
Yeah, sure. So I've been reading the Invincible comics, and I started reading them for the first time because I just finished watching the show that's been put out by Amazon. Is it Amazon or is it whatever. It's on a streaming service. It's such a great show. And I'd seen like things here and there about like the story, people making YouTube videos about explaining the narrative, and like this massively explosive universe that's just full of like metaphor and depth that's pulled from comics. Like there are tropes that are played upon and like given such great depth. And I think getting that experience in the show made me go, okay, I've got to start reading this book. So far I'm up to the 3rd trade paperback, which is Perfect Strangers. And I think narratively, if anybody's watched the show and they're coming to it from the direction I have, they've seen the show and now they're reading the comics. This part is about the part where the new Guardians of the Globe are becoming selected. So they've just done that trial where Robot selects them like a dodgeball team. It's such a good comic. Like, it's way, way better than the show. And I was expecting to like it. But there's so much about it that makes me really excited about making comics, because it keeps it's one of those comics, and I love comics like this, one of those comics that you feel like you're reading and you know the author is present with you and they're like enjoying it as well. They're enjoying making it, and you keep seeing these jokes and these sort of quips and these smart narrative decisions between characters, and especially dialogue. The dialogue's really fresh even now. I guess like it's like 20 years old almost. I can't remember when this came out actually.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
it's such a good comic, and it makes you think like, yeah, they had so much fun making this. Isn't making comics so much fun? And it's gotten me super hyped about making comics. So that's why I'm loving reading it so far. And it's been about a month since I read this book, so like I've been moving house, so I haven't been able to like pick it up for a little bit. So hopefully I can jump back in, and yeah, it'll get the creative juices going again for sure. It's such a great book. Something I'm really interested about, because there's so many like different changes that I'm noticing from having consumed the story in a different medium. Something I'm really interested in seeing is how much of that expanded universe stuff comes into play, like the B plots with different characters. Like I know they have this whole storyline coming up with Robot, and how Rex sort of becomes Robot in a way. I'm probably getting this part wrong, but again, I haven't really read up to that. I've only really heard about these things through like YouTube videos and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's a great story. It's a really exciting story. It makes me hyped about comics. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
It's good. Have you ever seen any Savage Dragon comics?
Yeah, I've seen a couple. I haven't read any Savage Dragon comics, but I know of Savage Dragon. That's actually something that, yeah, like it's interesting to see the differences in the show and the book, because I remember reading a scene that was in the show that had the death of the Guardians of the Globe, right? And they're at the funeral, and Omni-Man's putting on his crocodile tears, and everybody's sad and all that, and it's one of those classic like superhero funeral scenes where people rock up in their costume, which is always hilarious to me. Like you see these funerals where people are like dressed up in their costume. But Savage Dragon's there in the comics. He's at the funeral, but he's not in the show. So it's obviously like stuff to do with like licensing and things like that. But yeah, I'm keen to see that stuff. Is like really neat. And I guess it plays into that whole extended universe thing. But it's I don't know. Yeah, it's a really interesting comic.
But the reason I brought up Savage Dragon is because is that Kirkman said that if you want to learn how to pace a superhero comic, is you just copy Savage Dragon, and if you read a Savage Dragon issue and then put it next to a Invincible comic, like the pacing, like how stuff happens, is almost, it's like beat for beat, very similar. So he really did just use that as a template for his thing.
Yeah.
That's really
That's
cool.
great. That's cool to know.
Yeah, and Savage
Yeah, I
Dragon's
definitely
really
want to check
good
out
too.
some. Yeah, definitely check out some Savage Dragon. It looks cool. I just like the design of that character, right? It's got a mohawk, like, and it's like made out of some kind of like lizard frill or something. It's sick.
It's good stuff.
Sick. So you're next, Ed.
Yeah. Hey, it's me. So I'm going to do Pose by Peter Wilson. And this is a story of a devil and an alien who are fighting over a donut that they get. They both get summoned to Earth by their respective teams of where's my guy there? There's the cult one, and then there's the high tech guys who are sending a beam up into space. And there's a lot of great stuff in the first couple of pages where everything's mirroring each other. It's really well laid out and thought out. And then this bit's especially good where all the dialogue bubbles match and they make sentences even though they're from different scenes, the two different scenes going together. And then where's the camera? These two panels are excellent with the little demon appearing on the altar and then the alien beaming down to the science people. And then it's just pretty much madness from then on. They go through the city and then they both come to the donut shop and both go to pick it up at the same time. And then it's just basically it's about 20 pages of them just fighting through the city. And it's really well done. The way Pete sets up all the new bits of the fight, they go to a different area, and then he'll use that like the surroundings to set up the stuff, and they all and the way that they use their powers and like how the powers are introduced as they're fighting each other. And it's 45 pages. It's a huge book. And it's really detailed artwork. And I like this bit too, where the demon Dementus gets toxic ooze on him and turns into massive. And then the alien's like, oh, the old toxic ooze mutation. I should have seen that coming. And there's tons of snappy dialogue. Yeah. And then, yeah, so they basically just fight for the whole way through. It's really good because it's I don't think there's any swearing. There's no real violence. It's just like cartoony violence. So it'd be good book to show kids, I think. And in the end, they don't end up getting the donut. None of them gets the donut. They just slink off to their respective little bases where the demon's just in an alley in the garbage and the alien goes up to his Luke Skywalker Star Wars tank to heal. And they're just planning out for their next fight, what they're going to do when they next see each other.
Nice.
And it's excellent. It's really good. And it's a great, as talking about how Kirkman did the pacing for the thing. If you want to study a thing for Action Comics and how to do pacing and how to set stuff up and pay it off and stuff like this, this is a really good book to look at stuff like that. So that is Foes by Peter Wilson. And there's 2 editions. I've got 2 of them.
Ooh.
I liked it so much, I bought it twice.
It's probably two of my favorite themes when they come together is space and hell. But I'm never thinking about it in a comedic way. I'm thinking about it in like a Event Horizon kind of way, because that film, like, that's probably one of my favorite films of all time. Hell is in space, or a portal to hell is in space. But
That'd be cool.
It's just two cool concepts to put together. I guess like so many different things deal with it in very serious ways, but I like the idea of this comic being sort of like this Tom and Jerry-esque violent, but like egregiously violent setting. I've got to read this. It seems cool. It seems cool.
It's really good. It just made me think of Doom as well. That's like they find the portal to hell on Mars. Like that's the plot to that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a great game.
So we'll go back to
me again. One of my favorite parts of that book, like real early on, is they're fighting over the one donut that's left, and they get out of the building. They're fighting outside, and the lady with an entire pile of donuts refills. I just love that. It's where they're fighting over this one donut they thought was the only one, and she just piles another bunch of donuts all into the box.
She's got the thing, and she says, "I hate the night shift so much."
Yeah.
Nice. It's because they also don't know what donuts are because they're not from Earth.
Yeah, true. So this is the part where we all get to plug ourselves. Everyone knows who I am, so I'm not going to plug myself. I'm going to plug this. Chin Up. It is a men's mental health initiative. Kerry bought me this shirt as a way of supporting them. So, yeah, that's what I thought I would plug. Look them up. Chin Up. It's a men's health initiative. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Mental health initiative.
Cute.
Very cool.
So I have to pick someone now, don't I? Tom, plug yourself, buddy.
Yeah, cool. Plugs to do. Oh, yeah. So I've got a comic that I'm rushing to get finished and printed. I've got a market that I'm going to be at this month called Queer Slice, which is a... Oh, wait, is it this month or next month? No, it's next month. It's next month.
You've got time.
I meant to look up the date before the show so I could tell you what the date is, but it is definitely in July at some point. I should know this information because I'm trying to get a comic done for it. My comic is called Skyline Perimeter. It's a science fiction, or my first proper stab at just doing a science fiction story. Like, I had been making this comic called Brain Drain for, I don't know how long, like since 2017. And I definitely didn't do the right thing where it was like, oh yeah, you shouldn't try to make a 600-page book as your first ever comic. Like just start small and do smaller stories. But I was like, no, screw that. I'm going to do this massive epic comic. It's like, so I've found that I've hit a bit of a wall with that. So I thought, okay, let's put Brain Drain down for a bit and let's just make some shorter, simpler stories, and see how deep I can go with that. So I'm trying to mess with some genres with this story with Skyline Perimeter. It's got your classic like BSG vibes, set in the future, human expansionist project gone wrong. And I'm trying to throw in a little bit of like fantasy into there as well. Like there's some paranormal things going on. These humans discover these pillars on a planet, and they call them skyline towers, and they form a perimeter. And within the perimeter, there's some strange things occur. But it's going to be a very self-contained, very short story. So the idea is to open the mind up to something else, but then not necessarily have to rely on telling a massive story out of something. So that's something I'm trying to work on and get that done by Queer Slice, which will be my next thing that I'm going to be at. Also, I put out a skateboarding magazine called Inward Skateboarding Mag. It's like an art and skateboarding magazine. It's got contributors from all over the world. Like we've got people from Russia, from the UK, from Canada, from America, and of course some Australians, some locals, people from Brizzy, some friends of mine. And I just dropped that over in West End in Brisbane. You can get it in shops. I'm not going to release it online yet because I kind of want people to go to skate shops to get it, because those are like the backbone of this industry. I think these core shops that really hold it down for their community, not just for for the product or for the profit. Certainly not for the profit half the time. But yeah, you can check that out. That's on inwardskate.com, and my comics and stuff is at Tomagi or Tomagi. Tomagi.com. I know my own website. Yeah, Tomagi.com. Yeah, hopefully I can put the links to that somewhere.
To tie it back to comics, have you seen the Skate or Die Cross Godzilla collab they're doing? It's a comic coming out.
That sounds insane. The last cool like skateboarding comic thing that I saw was Mike Vallely did a collaboration with somebody to do a story about Mike Vallely is a pro skateboarder, and he did a collaboration with some artists from California to like sort of turn his story into this kind of comic book epic graphic novel. And I just thought that was sick, and I've really got to cop that. But no, that sounds crazy. Skate or Die.
The artwork's sick.
Godzilla, like, yeah, it sounds rad.
It's killer.
Sounds rad.
A lot of energy. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, cool. I'll have to check it out. Stu, you go next.
I think you're picking on me, man. I don't know what to talk
Always the nervous
about.
laugh at the beginning.
I'm currently working on something that hasn't come out yet publicly. It's a 200-page kids comic written by kids for kids, and it'll be all coming out later. We've got funding for it. The lady who's bringing out the the kids used to be on radio in Brisbane on breakfast radio, and she's also was on House Rules on television. And her kids have written comic books. They were looking for an artist. It's me. I'm up to about page 130. So that's another thing I'm doing. Other than that, at the printers, as we speak right now, in fact, there's probably sending them to me. The proofs have come in. Is this guy, the Outlaw, or this guy, Outlaw? My Outlaw comics, issues 1 and 2, will be out within the next 2 weeks. It's inspired by a Ned Kelly sort of thing, although it's got nothing to do with Ned Kelly. It's just that I was always into Iron Man and that sort of armor stuff and Australian comics. So I've combined it together. He's wanted by the underworld, wanted by the authorities, hunted by the underworld. I'll be bringing out issues 1 and 2. I've made a whole lot of stuff. If you buy issues 1 and 2, we've got magnets that go with it, stickers. I've even got Australia Post stamps that'll go in the set.
Yeah, blew my mind.
When you buy the whole shebang. So that's coming out the next couple of weeks. I first came up with this idea, and this will really age me, back in 1986. Since then, I've been a cartoonist for comic strips for the newspapers, as a cartoonist for the papers for 11 years. I've always wanted to do comic books. I've just never done it. I've done courtroom sketch artist, caricatures, political cartoons, but I've never done comic books. And finally, at the age of 54, I'm now bringing out my comic books. And I'll be out in 2 weeks. So I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.
That's awesome.
And as you can see, I'm going all out. I'm like, seriously. Yeah. It's probably really crap, but but my mum will buy one. So I'm happy. But so I've got the proofs all ready to go, and I'll be bringing it out. I was always a black and white artist. I did a lot of work, obviously, with the papers and that in colour, and I'm a graphic designer, so I do a lot with colour every day in my real job or my full-time job. But so the whole thing I'm doing in black and white. So this is sort of some of the artwork in it. Oh.
Nice.
Is that a scene taking place at Luna Park there?
Yeah.
Well, it's a different reality, so I haven't named Luna Park.
Cool.
Inspired by Luna Park, yeah.
Love that.
So, and like I'm from Sydney originally, so the story starts in Sydney. It's going to move into Darwin, where I lived for 20 years. And now, you old devil, look at Nick. He's the same age as me. Seriously, old man. And now I'm in Perth. So the story will follow me around wherever I am also. So But yeah, that one starts in, well, it's called The Big City. I'm a bit like DC in that sense. I haven't named New York. I've, Gotham and Metropolis and whatever else. I'm not that smart, so it's The Big City. And Darwin's North City. How's that? Yeah. I'm not that original. But anyway, yeah, that's 2 weeks, guys. Over to you, Laura.
Oi, it's me. I've been busy. So appearance-wise, I'll be in Sydney for Supernova in 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it is, and then following weekend will be Perth Supernova. Nice. Next month I'll be at PCAF, which is Perth Comic Art Festival. That is 27th, I think, or 28th is the market day. And then there's a new-ish. It's redone. Evolve Perth Comic. It's just a convention, and that one's in September. So I'll be there as well, which I think is the 7th. But that's me for the year. In terms of work, just wrapped up Bolt, the Electrified Bolt, which hopefully will be out soon. I think they're going to crowdfund that one. I've just recently signed up to take on Morris and the Metal, sequentials of that one. So I'll be doing issue 4, which is already underway, doing the roughs at the moment, and then hopefully get onto pencils in the next 2 weeks. I want to get that obviously as soon as possible, but Aaron approached me and he is very pumped to get out as many issues as possible, so we'll get cracking on those, which is a killer story, another one that everyone should check out. Other than that, I've got my first Ninja Turtle cover coming out in July, so that is for the #1 2024 issue. And to relate back in, Joel Jones, who did the art on Lady Killer, is doing that issue as well, which is really nice. And then I think that's it. I'm doing a couple of things for the Phantom fundraiser. I did that piece for the fundraiser, which they have that event on the Saturday of Sydney Supernova, and hopefully they'll raise up lots of money for the kids' hospital, which is really nice. Westmead, which is cool. Yeah. Very, very cool of them. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, just trying to keep up with the schedule.
Geez, Ed all.
Yeah. Ed, you go for it.
So I've got my comic book Radical. There's 3 issues of that available at Comic Shop. And I also do a comic book called Sim Mandrels from Earth, which is also available at the Comic Shop. Yeah. And you can find more of my stuff at Ed Keasley Art on Instagram. And I've got a Patreon where I've also got I got an Australian crime story comic called Cobber. And there's some other stuff on there. And so that's just, I'm working on all that stuff at the moment. So I think that's about it. So
very cool.
Why don't we show this? Wait, show ad for the Comic Shop. Everyone watch this.
Are you feeling a little down? Tired of reading the same old books again and again? Looking for something different? Why not head over to the ComX Shop now and pick yourself up some freshly inked inspiration?
I'm feeling pretty inspired.
Awesome, Ed. Okay. We're going to start this off with me admitting to introducing everyone incorrectly, forgetting to ask all the questions I meant to ask. And I know that's why Ed had that little look on his face. I know it. Anyway, this is the part where we all recommend a comic that we've read any time in our lives, not necessarily recently. I will start off. I would have to recommend, and this sort of, well, the last book the book that I actually talked about before is an Australian indie. I should note that. This one's kind of Australian. It's Uncanny X-Men 245. This is where the male part of the X-Men, after an issue where it was the girls' night out, all go to a pub. And the world is attacked by aliens just as this happens. And so fairly drunk versions of the X-Men, except Wolverine, of course, who can't get drunk, have to stop the aliens. And it's a very fun and great comic. And the Australian in me loved the Outback pub and fighting aliens, and it was just a lot of fun. So that would be the one I recommend.
Cool.
And I'll go with you, Ed.
I'm going to recommend everyone read Platinum Grit, which is a 90s Australian independent comic book by Trudy Cooper and Doug Bain, Danny Murphy and Roger Beams. They've got all funny names for what they do, but I think Trudy Cooper draws it and Doug Bain does the scripting. But this is a classic. They're probably hard to get now, but if you ever see anywhere, this is one of the great Aussie 90s comic books that used to be able to get at the newsagents. So it's the Platinum Grit, Bug and Stump, and Greener Pastures were like the big three for all the 90s kids who were collecting comics and looking for something else. These were on the shelves at the newsagents back then. And it's really funny. The cover's great. There's all the artwork's really nice. It's and lots of use of the Trudy Cooper's using the zipper-tone dots, making the grayscales, which I never could ever find them when I was a kid, and still to this day I don't think I've ever seen any real ones in real life. But that's it's a classic. Everyone should read it if you can find them. They really should do a big trade paperback of the Platinum Grit and Bug and Stump. They should crowdfund them. If anyone knows Trudy or Doug, get on them and tell them to get that done. Yeah, so that's my recommendation. Platinum Grit.
Great choice.
Classic. So we'll go to Stu. Have you done one yet?
No. Where am I? The greatest comic ever, Outlaw. No, I'm joking. Mine's actually not really a comic. It was something that inspired me when I was a kid. I was a teenager, and my mother bought me it, and it's now a video, and it's now in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Ooh. This thing was my Bible as a kid. It was the video with John Buscema. John Buscema, is that how you correctly pronounce it? Buscema. And Stan Lee. Stan Lee's over the top in the video. John's miserable. It's brilliant, and it taught me so much about layout, about inking, about the whole comic creating. I traced it over and over and over again. I copied it, and it just taught me more than anything else that I've ever, more than what going to university in Sydney taught me. This taught me more. So yeah, this is my recommendation. But then again, university. This is my recommendation of a comic, and it's not a comic, although of course it is. Got comic stuff all the way through it.
Nice.
How to draw the human figure, etc., etc., etc. Seriously, if you haven't seen this, guys, it is really worth having a look at. It's brilliant. Or the video, you can get it on YouTube. You can just watch the whole thing. You don't have to actually read anything. Yeah. Over to you, Tom.
Nice. Yeah, sure. I was going to say about your book, I mentioned it before we started the show, but it really reminded me of a book that had a similar impact on me by Scott McCloud, the Making Comics, that he made a sequel to his first book, Understanding Comics, because he wanted people to understand comics. There it is. And what's so sick about those books by McLeod is that they're actually made in comic book form. Like the pages read as a comic that instruct you how to understand and read. And then in the second one, how to make comics. And yeah, I used to be so stoked about that book. I would bring it with me everywhere. I'd bring it to school just because I thought it was so cool to have and talk about. But yeah, that's a sick book. I haven't read the Making Comics the Marvel Way though, unfortunately, but I know it's a must-have. There it is. Everybody's got their Understanding Comics. I haven't got Understanding. I've just got Making Comics. I've got to bust that out of the.
And I've read none of them.
I've not even read that Reinventing. I didn't even know that was. I didn't even know about that. So that's something I'll have to check out.
I've skimmed them. They look all right.
Nice.
Oh,
I love that. I love that art. That's sick. Yeah,
now I'm
McLeod's
going
got a cool
to buy
style.
some more comics.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy them now.
More comics. Yeah,
I've got Scott McLeod's face tattooed on my foot too.
for real.
Yeah, my friend got a tattoo machine and he wanted to practice and looking for something simple to design, and that was the Understanding Comics was sitting around. So I was like, this dude.
There's like a little page he does about like coming up with his character version of himself in Making Comics. I think he has like a page about like drawing characters from different distances and like how you sort of like render something if it's really small and you figure out like a sort of shorthand of a way to identify a character. I guess it's all like silhouettes and things like that you learn in like art classes or university. But yeah, stuff like that is really cool. I love the idiosyncrasies that you pick up once you know how the sausage is made. It's like seeing how movies are made, and then you can never unsee those things in movies, you know. But yeah, my comic recommendation, I reckon, is I had to think about it while we were doing this because I forgot to think about it beforehand. But talking about how stoked Invincible made me to want to jump in and make comics. I was reminded of a comic that really did that when it came out, and I was reading it by Derek Kirk Kim. Was a strip called Toon, and he put out 3 volumes of it, I think, through first, second books. I'm not sure if that's still a publisher anymore. They probably are. I haven't really kept up, but it's such a sick story, and it follows this guy who's kidnapped by aliens, and they dump him into their zoo because they're collecting humans for their zoo. They're collecting species from around the galaxy. And it's such a wacky, fun little comic. And again, just makes you like, you read the book and you know how much fun the person had making it. And Derek Kirk Kim's such a great artist. Such a good capture of like slice of life, but in this absurd, wacky premise. But that's probably my book recommendation. Is everybody go check out, if they can find it somewhere, Toon, Tune by Derek Kirk Kim, who's just put out a new book through Image, I think, called The Last Mermaid, and that's got some amazing artwork in it.
Cool.
So yeah, honestly, anything by Derek Kirk Kim, because he's just really popping off right now. Really cool stuff. Yeah.
Throw it to Lauren.
It's me. You guys stole my idea in terms of doing something that's not comic related, so I'm going to do 2. So I'm still going to plug the one that I thought was probably going to be the most beneficial for everyone. As mentioned, I'm an artist at heart, so anything by these guys,
Oh, cool.
the Etherington brothers, super simple. They talk about like foreshortening, setting up scene, just drawing things really simply, and just make it a lot more easier to understand. Yeah, they go into like a lot of panel work, stuff like that. It's just a lot of their stuff's free online, but the books, obviously, I love a good tangible book, and it's really well printed. Everything's really easy to navigate and apply to your work. So I would recommend looking up any of those. That's like volume 5. It's the only one I've got, but a lot of their stuff is available online. So if you just Google, Etherington Brothers, incredible, super simple, easy to apply. If you are looking at elevating any aspect of your work, all you have to do is write Etherington Brothers foreshortening, Etherington Brothers layout, whatever, composition, and it will come up with very simple tutorials for you to practice or put into your work. In terms of a recommendation of what to read, coming from an artist's perspective again, I think I've plugged this so many times, but I'm just going to do it because this podcast is quite specific in terms of that. But Black Sad is probably absolutely one of my all-time favorites. Very well written, very well paced, and the artwork is insane, all hand done. Hand colored as well. There is one particular set of panels which I did flag before that is just insanely well done and insanely well paced, and it's sort of like where I go to all the time in terms of where I want to go. But my sort of stuff is, let me see if I can turn it right. Just like easy, simple, like the panels are not overly done. They're using the negative space in terms of the text as well, just not making it in your face, but really telling a story and making sure that animatic movement is still included within that static imagery. So very smartly drawn, and the stories are quite relevant in terms of what we deal with day-to-day lives in terms of like KKK, political stuff, and I think you get a lot out of it in terms of that. So, and it's another Dark Horse title, so I think I've got a trend going on there. Yeah, that's me.
Back to me, and this is the part where I don't know. Ed, what do I do now? I just say goodbye?
I suppose so.
Okay, cool. I've got to write down everything, so I'm getting all the shows mixed up and what I'm meant to do on each show. So thank you, Lauren, Ed, Stu, and Tom, and me even. We'll thank Siz as well while we're at it. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks,
Thank you for telling us about a book you've read recently. Thank you for telling us a little bit about what you're up to, and thank you for your recommendations, because I have written them down. They all sound awesome. Oh, nice.
And the viewers in the chat as well.
And the view, I was getting to that, Ed. Thank you for those who watched live. Thank you for those who watched after we were live. Mostly thank you to the people who watch us live. They're great. Gotta love those people. Remember to like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That would be awesome. It helps us build up an audience so that we can transmit this to more people and so forth. So on that note, thank you all, and good night. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Like,